name's Jackie, and I'm going to tell you about the time I got an ulcer from acne. So essentially, I always struggled with acne, and thankfully I was always able to go to a doctor to help me with it and to kind of diminish my acne and the effects. But the summer before my sophomore year, I was super stressed out and I was getting acne, and I decided to find a new dermatologist in Jacksonville. It's kind of always hard to find doctors when you're in between colleges because it's like you're in college one semester, you might be home the next semester or in a different city interning. You know, it's just hard to stick with one doctor, and this one was close by. So it was during the summertime, and it was like a weird dermatologist. I've been to dermatologists where it's more like a medical field, but this dermatologist had like a spa attached to her clinic, and like these like weird facials that didn't have anything to do with like the medical field. It was more like cosmetic, but then she also did medical dermatology. So that was different from all the other dermatologists I had gone to, who are purely like medical versus cosmetic. But anyway, I went to see her and she had good reviews, and I got prescribed this medication called Acticlate. And it was a pill that I'd have to take every day. And I had been on a pill before for my acne, and on the old pill, and this was like in middle school, I think, or like in high school when I was on the pill. I've had to go on different medications for acne before, and I would always have to eat it with, take it with food. And this new dermatologist said, oh my gosh, there's this new pill. You don't even have to worry about eating when you take it. Like, you can just take it before you go to bed. Like, they've redeveloped the pill, so you don't need to take it with food. So you can take it anytime, and I just decided to take it daily before bed. She told me to take it daily. And then a month goes by, and I'm suddenly having like these really weird chest aches, like these very painful chest pains, and I can barely swallow. As in, like, if I swallowed food, I would get the terrible chest ache. Like, it was like very painful to swallow food. It wasn't that I couldn't swallow, it was just like incredibly painful. And I called up my primary care doctor, and they were like, come in right away. And they did all these examinations on me for heart problems. Like, you know, like they were doing like these weird, they were having me take off my shirt and like putting these sensors on me and monitoring my heart. Nothing's wrong, seems normal. They were taking like my blood tests. I've always been anemic, so like there's like nothing like out of whack there. And my primary care doctor just could not figure it out. She was like, I don't know why you're having this pain. I don't know if it's chest related. So the first thing they went to was like, oh, you have a heart issue. But they ruled that out, that I didn't have a heart issue. And it was ironic because at the time, my best friend and soon to be roommate the following year, she's always had heart problems, and she had an open heart transplant that summer. And right after it, I was dealing with these heart pains. And I talked to her about it. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Like, obviously, it's not any pain that she went through with her heart transplant and all her heart issues. But I was like, do you have any knowledge of this? Like, this is so weird. And she was like, Jackie, weren't you taking like acne medication? I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, my brother got an ulcer from acne medication. You probably have an ulcer. So she like knew right away, and she was just like, is it Acticlate? And I was like, oh my God, yes, it is. So my best friend who had these heart problems was able to tell me that I had an ulcer from acne medication. I don't know why my primary care doctor didn't think that my medication was causing anything, but somehow my best friend figured it out. And so I told my primary care doctor that, and she was like, you know what? We need to rule out everything, but we do not have the equipment and the abilities to rule out what you may or may not have. She's like, you need to go to an ER doctor because they'll have all the equipment and they can sit you down and test everything out and like rule out every disease or like condition, whatever it is that's causing like this weird pain where you literally can barely eat. So I was like literally eating smoothies because I couldn't handle the swallowing. So I went to the ER doctor, and they're ruling things out. I brought in all the medication I was on with the Acticlate because I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's this because my friend's like, this caused an ulcer. I'm like, I think it's an ulcer. So they're like, I brought in the prescription. The ER doctor looks at it and he goes, oh my God. He was just like, how long have you been on this? I was like, over a month. And he was just like, you've been taking this daily? And I was like, yes. Long story short, my ER doctor told me that for that, the dosage that was in the pill, someone should have only been on, basically I should have only been on it for a week. That should have been like the prescription. It should have been a week. She gave me it for over a month. That's what she prescribed me, was over a month of taking it, when most doctors would have prescribed it for only a week because it's very strong. Second off, he said I was on double the amount of a normal pill of Acticlite. So I guess there's a certain millidosage or something that normally goes in the pill, but for some reason I was like double that amount in each pill. Third off, I should have been taking it with food, even though the prescription said I didn't have to. He was like, he told me, he was like, it's gonna be thousands of dollars to like, normally when someone has an ulcer, they have to literally put a microscope in them, and figure out where the ulcer is and confirm that they have the ulcer and then prescribe the medicine. My ER doctor was just like, I know for a fact that you basically could have died from this. You could have gotten overdosage. Like, he's like, I know that this has caused an ulcer. And basically, if y'all don't know, an ulcer is a hole in one of your, it's like acid that makes like this is my understanding, it like kind of like makes a hole and like a damage in one of your intestines. And it was like, I know it's in the esophagus because that's where you're getting the pain. Like when you swallow, it's not your chest, it's just like near where your chest is. So that's why you're confusing it with chest pain. And I'm just gonna give you the medication. If things don't get better in a week with this medication that's like supposed to repair the ulcer, like if things don't get better, we'll like revisit. But he's like, I'm like 99% sure that you have an ulcer, and I don't want to charge you like tens, thousands of dollars just to do this like microscopic study to confirm what I already know. So I was like, wow, what a great guy. Trying to save me money, because the medical world is ridiculously expensive when you're in need. That's a whole other story about my friend who had the heart transplant and how expensive it was for her. But yeah, it was just really painful. And for the next month, I had to drink smoothies and stuff. And finally the medication, like over time, it got better and better. And I was finally within a month able to eat things. But I lost some weight from it and was drinking like milkshakes all the time. So not fun. People have asked me, well, why didn't you sue your doctor that, you know, overprescribed you something and gave you an ulcer? And honestly, my response is, wow, I was so preoccupied on like starting school and moving into a new apartment with my friend who had just had a heart transplant that I just like didn't think like maybe I should sue this person, maybe I shouldn't. And it was awkward. But then to finish the story, when after like this whole ER visit, my follow-up with the dermatologist who had overprescribed me a prescription was like, my follow-up appointment was a week later after the ER doctor visit. And I was like, Dad, I have this like on the calendar to visit this doctor who basically caused me to have an ulcer. And my dad was like, well, I want to come with you because this is crazy and I just want her to know that she's made you sick and you haven't been able to eat normally, like you've been just drinking liquids all day. So my dad came with me to the dermatologist, and we get in there and my dad's like, look, she has an ulcer. And it was like I don't know what they're called, they're like the assistant. They're not the dermatologist, but it's like their assistant that takes you to the room. But he was like, look, my daughter has an ulcer and she's been on liquids. Like she literally can't barely eat right now. And she's already losing weight because of it. And the lady was like, oh, are you sure? That sounds impossible. And my dad was like, you overprescribed her the medication, and like your office overprescribed the medication, and we went to the ER. Like, we're not lying. I don't know why you would be like, are you sure about this? And the lady was just like, one moment. And then she just walks out. Doesn't even apologize for the fact that I had to go to an ER doctor and that I can't eat, basically. And so she was like, one moment. And then she just leaves. And we're like, my dad was furious. He was like, I cannot believe her bedside manners. I think in medical school, you're like supposed to learn bedside manners, but this woman had zero and could give, or I'm sorry, excuse my French, she didn't care that I had gone to the ER. And basically, we hear her in the hallway. Like, we can hear her through their walls. And she's calling up the doctor that prescribed me, and she's like, this is what's going on. I don't know what to say so that we don't get sued. So we hear her freaking out on the phone, like through the walls. So anyway, we did not sue. I had too much on my plate, and actually, it's a long story, but one of my friends had passed away, and I just wasn't gonna sue someone when all that stuff was going on, and it's just like a long process, and I didn't think it was worth it to sue, honestly, but it was definitely a very painful experience. And now every time I go to a dermatologist, I'm like, I don't want your medication. But yeah, that is the story of how I got an ulcer from being overprescribed medication. If you like this and want more videos, like and subscribe. I'll make sure to make more story time videos about my crazy life. Thanks, guys.